on over here? Alright. Oh, hello. Thanks for tuning in. Anyways, so I had to write this down because first of all, it's turned around, maybe I'll turn it around later and see if any visitors swing by. But this is one of those ones where I just want to get this out and not be interrupted. But shout out to anybody who's tuning in and listening and watching. So this is entitled, Don't Be a Coward. Taking ownership of your healing, aka move, bitch, get out the way of my ascension and Act 3 phoenixing. So, that's what we're going to talk about. I had to write that down, so if I lose my place at any time, I know what to get back to. So, last night, first of all, I had this, I don't even know what it was. It was like a cannabis something. They took cannabis, they did something, then they did something else, not sciencey shit, more but it wasn't like a infusion. Anyways, they did some shit, they did another process, and it's essentially like a seasoning consistency now. It's flaky. And you just add it to shit, right? You can add it to your coffee, you can add it to your fucking tea, your waffles. And yeah, when my friend gave it to me, she was like, yeah, just you just need a little bit, right? And that's always the fucking shit with edibles. You just need a little bit. But it's I just need to really find the golden something. I don't know what you would call it. The golden edible, where it just reliably will always hit in the same way at the same time. But that's the problem, because it's your biochemistry is always changing and shit. So, absorption rates fluctuate depending on what you eat and shit. So, yeah. But anyways, so I had this, and last night I felt like I had taken shrooms, and I didn't take shrooms. That's how hard it hit me. And it was just hilarious, because I took it, and I sort of forgot about it, and smoked other things, and then later I was just on the phone, and I was like, what is happening? And I just was having experiences if I had taken a certain dose of psilocybin. So it was kind of funny. And then even when I woke up today, it felt like I had taken a trip, in a psilocybin trip. So that was trippy in itself, just as a general picture. So anyways, during this non-trip, I mean, it's funny that I'm saying I took another drug and I was tripping from it, right? It's just silly, because cannabis is just water or something, it's something neutral, it has its own effects. But in terms of tripping, right, you don't necessarily associate tripping with cannabis, right? Although you can have some fucking very intense, strong effects, especially when it's eaten or consumed orally. So yeah, one of the things that came up is, so Chogyam Trungpa, who is my teacher, and I'm watching this documentary that I actually may have watched, because I'm I kind of remember some of this. I don't know. If I have watched this documentary, I don't remember any of it, or bits and parts, but I'm watching it again, I guess. So, let me just make sure this is recording. I really should probably turn this around. I'm going to turn it around, because I always have this fear. I always have this fear that's not on, and I'll know, and I'll just be doing this whole thing, and not only will it not be recording, I'm not even live streaming. That would be terrible. That would be, because it's when you're on the phone, you know what I'm saying? You're on the phone, and you're not looking at the phone, and it, that's haha, and you just turn it the other way, right? I mean, unless I could show the wall, if y'all want to see the wall. But, peace. When you're on the phone and maybe it gets disconnected and you just don't realize it, and you just go on about something, you're like, you're just going on, and then you're like, oh, the phone's been disconnected for probably minutes, and I've still been talking, right? That's always my fear of doing videos, especially if it's like a live thing. That's my fear. That's a strong thing. But I would be highly annoyed if that happened. Highly, highly, highly. So much so I turned it around, the camera, right? If the live ends, there should be some sort of noise that they tell you, like, oh, boop, boop, your live ended. Just so you know, there was a sound. That was a live ending sound. But anyways, that's my neurosis, people. Don't take on my neurosis. So during this cannabis seasoning, non-trip, I was thinking about something that Chogyam often said about just people being cowards, right? And I was really thinking about that. I was really just thinking about the areas in my life that I'm, come a long way, but it's like you always got to be realizing the areas of your life you're still being a coward, right? And in a lot of ways, like we'll definitely be a coward in terms of our own growth and healing. Now, I got news for you folks. You're going to grow and heal regardless, but there's a but. There's always a but. There's not always a but. However, kicking and screaming is never, it's not the most pleasant way of doing it. So if at least you can be on the wave or ahead of the wave, not to get kicked and screamed, or you don't have to go kicking and screaming, right? Because you're like, oh, growth, openness. We're already, what? We've been doing that since '07. We've been growing since '07. But it's like you had to really, especially with that, because it's like, you could, like, I'm not a coward in business. I go in there and I do my business things and we get the deals. Yeah, that's fucking easy, right? Doing that shit. I'm talking about our inner cowardice, right? Our inner coward. That deep down, we usually know what we need to do. We just don't want to fucking do it, right? Wrong. Maybe. We know what we need to do. It's usually pretty glaring what we need to do. But we're so predictable in our reactions. We're so predictable in the ways we go about reacting to life, and then like, oh, that happened, well, I gotta do that now. And then you do that, and you're like, oh, I did that again. Oh, my goodness, I'm a piece of shit. And then you're like, well, I might as well do that again, or whatever your cycle is, but that's the common one. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like you gotta really kind of own up and take responsibility for your healing, because, listen, folks, I know we got friends and family from when we were growing up and all this sort of shit, but them niggas is as toxic and as fucked up. And sometimes probably more than you realize, right? Because maybe that got get high at it over the years. But them niggas were very ignorant. And, obviously as generations go on, there's more openness, or there's more expansion. That's, next generation, can expand right past the previous generation. Here is the kicker. You gotta let go of those fucking past relationships, those past people, because them niggas will hold you back from you fucking actually doing it or work. They'll look you sideways. What do you mean? What do you mean? You've always done drugs with us. You've always done heroin and cocaine with us. You're not gonna do that with us anymore? Or whatever it is. This could be anything, right? You're not gonna go gambling with us anymore? You're not gonna drink with us anymore? And it's not even that they need to say it, right? Because they'll just kind of permeate in there. You can tell if people are supportive, especially if you're making hardcore life changes. You can tell. People were encouraging. Like, oh, wow, my uncle, he was going through that, and that really helped him too. I'm rooting for you. Oh, the best of luck, right? So if we are constantly reverting back to our familiar relationships and our friendships that maybe are no longer really even aligned with where we're at. And it's not even that one needs to denigrate that. It's like, oh, they're a piece of shit now. I'm some sort of, because don't do that. That's just growth. That's just spiritual materialism, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just another form of judgment. But it's like, people who are friends of mine who are married with kids now and have a house, and I don't have any of those things. They're just operating in different energetic reality. And it doesn't mean I'm not friends with them, you know what I'm saying? But they're probably hanging out with other people who do those things, and there's nothing wrong with any situation, you know what I'm saying? But it's just understanding where you're at and things that are, I guess, triggering and activating you staying in a passive place with your with your growth and healing, right? You can be passive where it's like, you're just going along for you'll evolve just even if you're not even trying, that's just how it goes. But for some of us here, I'm trying to consciously evolve, like active evolvement, you know what I'm saying? Active ascension. So there's some lazy ascension people out here, and I'm just not with it anymore, you know what I'm saying? We need to have a meeting, folks. We need to have a meeting with these people who are just like, oh, I'm going to return to source anyway. I don't have to do work. I joke, but do I kid? Do I kid? But do I joke? Anywho, so these relationships hold us the fuck back because these people are toxic, and they're like, maybe some people do something about it, but I feel the vast majority just don't and just get good about hiding their toxicity from family, but just keep kind of subtly doing manipulations, controlling, being narcissistic, and just, generally just fucking with other family members, especially, with evolving. But ultimately, it's like up to the person. It's like, you got to fucking distance yourself from those people. And I get it. Family. May not have anybody else. But it's like, what, you going to stay connected to people who are, not that they're conspiring against you, but they're not benefiting you. They're not eating your path, right? It's like back in the day when I was in college or after college when I was reading Buddhist books, like someone came over nigga, stop reading that. And I'm like, what? We don't read Buddhist books around here, okay? Nigga. I'd be like, oh, I gotta get away from these people. Although, this is a funny story. I did have a girlfriend, and when I got into Buddhist books, she got real weird about it. She got real like it was like a cult, like the cult of Buddhism. I was like, oh, okay, bitch, chill the fuck out. It's Buddhism. She was very insecure, but aren't we all in some sort of way? So to get back to the main point, those fucking toxic family members, okay? You gotta understand when it's happening. And it's like anything. It's like it could be an abusive relationship, and it's easy to say you should just leave that person. It's easy for me to say that, for anybody to say that, right? Or to think that, but actually emotionally removing yourself and psychologically removing yourself from these situations is paramount before you can even physically move out of these situations. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll still be under a psycho-emotional control, right? Not even that it's an act of control, but just how you, because families have this dynamic that could just carry over forever unless you change your dynamic with your family. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. At some point, I was my mother's son. No, maybe the next one should be in quotes. I was my mother's son, then I was my mother's adult son. I don't know, maybe neither one needs to be in quotes. But the point is, I changed my relationship, right? Like I interact with my parents as like adults now. You know what I'm saying? Still some son shit happens, you know? Some parent shit happens, right? But it's like and not that they've ever been am I staying away from viewer comments? No, I welcome viewer comments. I welcome viewer comments. I may not address them. But yeah, but no, I wrote down the title. Just write down the title, because that's the thing. Like when I do this, it's like I can't always click on it to see the full title after I've done the thing. You know, it's a whole thing. But that is a great point. Okay, I will rephrase. I feel a lot of people have a lot of pain that they don't deal with. And it turns into toxicity. And thank you for that comment, because that is giving me this point to clarify, right? See? Okay, comments are bad. That's one point for comments. Woo! Comments. And yeah, just like people not dealing with their pain, people not dealing with just one, even being with their emotions, just starting there, right? Even before we get into pain, just being with your emotions, not running away from your emotions. And it seems so simple. I get it, but it's something you got to train yourself to do, right? Understand where if this, put aside the positive feelings for a second, if this negative feeling happens, right? How do I deal with it? How do I respond? What happens? What does my body feel like? What subsequent thoughts come up? You know what I'm saying? Do I go reach out to some hottie I've been talking to get my mind off of it? What happens when one experiences anger, sadness, depression, despair, loathing, lividness, you know, other states, but also joy states, so you gotta know what's going on there. So that's one. And then pain, when pain and suffering rears its face in anybody's life, all of our lives, yeah. You know, then we're really in trouble, because we're not even used to just normally kind of you know, being aware of our feelings. And then pain and misery come. You know, there's a Buddhist expression I've been saying a lot recently, which is when pain and misery show up at your house or your home, you let them in, but you don't serve them tea, right? And by not serving them tea, it's like then they don't stay any longer than they need to. But it's like you gotta bar the door. This is impermanence place, bitch. And bitches, right? Things change on a dime. Here today, gone tomorrow, right? That is what happens on this place. The more you let that sink into your consciousness, the more you will be able to deal with the ups and downs, the back and forth, the chaos of life, because it's never consistent. One day I was working at the library, and the next day it's closed for at least 6 months due to water damage. Impermanence. Shit changes. Deaths. Loss. New jobs. Lose a job. Bankruptcy. Fortunes. It's always changing. Just get used to that in life. So anyways, so the pain and misery are going to come in and out of our lives. Just you're going to have heartbreak. You're going to have relationships that are beautiful, and then they turn into tragedy. Or they just kind of fizzle out. And it's fine. It's just like you have to... You learn how to deal with these things. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, just like taking a shit, you know? What happens if you don't take a shit? You get constipated. You get toxic. You gotta take shits with your pain. Pain shits. You gotta take pain shits, okay? You gotta, it's a whole thing. That's why like other cultures, they know how to grieve, right? They know how to like, okay, someone died. All right, this is what we do. This is the ritual. That's them. That's their pain shitting, right? That's their grief shit. The grief excrement system. right? They figure out a way. It's like, okay, here's a way that we can deal with this loss. We can deal with this sadness. We can deal with this grief. So, all right, so you have to take ownership for your healing. So, just like these family members that maybe, not that maybe they're rooting against you, but, you know, they got their own pain that they're dealing with, and they don't even fucking care. They don't even think it's a thing to do. I don't know what's going on over there, or maybe they do, and they just don't even know. I'm compassionate people. Maybe people just don't know. From a certain generation, just don't know all the advances in alchemizing and transforming one's pain. Psilocybin, ayahuasca, or just deep breathing. I was going to get into that section about techniques and things one can do. Yeah, I'll get into that later. We still got to break down this thing. Okay, so we need to not be a coward in facing these things about ourselves, right? Because it's just like, I always think about like this. Think about yourself in whatever way, like, this is who I want to be, whatever that entails. You know, like, oh, I'm going to have this business and make $1 million and whatever. That's all fine. Or I'm going to this and save the world with everything bagels. I don't know what you're going to do. But the point is, what's the distance between you and that thing you want to do, the whole thing you want to do, and how you feel right now, right? Why don't you think you can't do that thing? Or maybe you do. But what's the thing that's holding you back, right? But even before, that's always a waste of time, frankly. All that shit, just a waste of time. Because it's a waste of time because it's like, you're not investigating yourself. That's the thing. That's always the $1 million question. If I ever did spiritual counseling, I don't know if I would ever do it. I'm kind of like, I kind of feel about it. As much as I want to help people, I'd rather put out a video about a topic and let people decide, maybe get some book homework. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I did my job. I put it out on the fields. People got to make up their own mind. They got to figure it out themselves. I'm not going to do it for them. So it's just, I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that, folks. Well, I do know where I was going with that, but I just lost my train of thought. Oh boy, that's how they get you. Anyways, so we don't want to be a coward, right? In how we relate to ourselves, because the reason we're a coward is we don't want to, because it's like you take a long, hard look at yourself, but then you know what you do, you know what you don't do? You know what you don't do? You take a long, hard look at yourself and you don't call yourself a piece of shit. Yeah, you're not a piece of shit. Even if you're doing piece of shit things, it's like, no. Back up. Back the fuck up, right? Because it's just, that's why Chogun was an interesting character, because he was like a womanizer who'd get drunk and shit. But in a funny sort of way, that's why he was like almost like an anti-teacher in a funny sort of way. Because it doesn't matter what he's doing. Just listen to his message. Don't worry about him. If you're worried about him, then you're not thinking about yourself. And that's part of the deception. If you're like, oh, look at this fucking, he's a Tibetan master and he's drunk over there. What's wrong with this guy? He's womanizing some kind of master. If you're thinking about that, then you're still fucking caught up in the deception. Because apparently something in you thinks you're better than that person, or they shouldn't be doing that, and that this is what this person should be doing. Well, what should you be doing with your life? You have all this time to be thinking about the dude who's your teacher, but you're not thinking about yourself. And why are you even having all these opinions about, someone, you don't know what's going on in their brain, And, that's why I was kind of like an interesting kind of like lesson within the lesson. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all a mirage, right? This is all inside. That's the biggest mirage. That's like, oh, out there. I did this out there. Hey, you know what I did out there? That's why it's like, if, I love the Thoreau quote where he's like, yo, if I was out here like chopping trees and fucking like just getting lumber, people would think like, oh, that dude, he is doing great. He's industrious. He's cutting down trees. Give that man an award. But then it's like, if I was just having like a leisurely stroll, they'd be like, "You loafer, good job," because that's Malkuth. You know what I'm saying? Um, so here on Malkuth, you got to deal with the shovel of shit you've been dealt, the trauma you've been dealt, the pain you've been dealt, past pain, present pain, and there'll be future pain. People die. You'll lose people in weird ways, in unexpected ways, sometimes expected ways. Or shit, just you lose friends. Not that they die, just you grow apart, or there's a rift, or someone calls someone a bitch, or someone steals a boyfriend, or this and that, or a business fails, or whatever. This shit happens. This is Malkuth, people. Okay? I would say the one job anyone has, if I were to say there's one job that everyone has, if they just committed to this job, they'd be alright. It's growth and healing. That's the job. You're going to do it anyways. You might as well get ahead of it. Just do it actively. But it requires just not being a coward. Realizing where you're like, sharing my feelings, You got to realize where you're stuck. You got to realize where you're self-medicating. You got to realize where you are covering up your pain, covering up your toxicity, and just passing it off as something else. I just only, I only do meth like bi-monthly, okay? I'm a bi-monthly meth user, all right? It's like it's not even a big deal. I don't know why you're making that face right now. I told you I do it every other month, not 2 times a month. That would be just insane. That'd be a bi-weekly? Yeah, that'd be bi-weekly. You know, don't be a bi-monthly meth user. But yeah, we cover up our pain and our toxicity as something else. We pass it off as something else. That's the cleverness. Ego. Oh, that ego mind is very clever, right? And it'll always make the pain pleasurable or seem pleasurable and the pleasure actually painful. So you gotta just have a resolve where it's like, bitch, this is what I need to heal. And we probably should get into that now. This is part 2 of this discussion. Is what can we do to heal? What can we actually do to actively help heal our biophysical, psycho-emotional chakra self? It's one, just recognizing that there's something there, right? You've been on Malkuth for a few moments, Hey, how long have you been on Malkuth? Oh, a few months. Oh, you've probably been traumatized already. It's par for the course, people, right? That's what this place is. I would say, I was thinking about this, it's both prison and playground, right? But you got to get out of the prison mindset. That's the biggest part. You get out of the prison mindset, then you can really work. And part of getting out of the prison mindset is dealing with your fucking pain, dealing with your toxicity in your chakra systems. So you have pain. So you have pain. There is a lot of shit you can do, my friend. So I'm just going to go off the top. I was going to write this down, but okay. So one, just get this out of the way. Psychedelics and plant teachers. Okay. So, psilocybin. Probably one of the top ones, in terms of helping just wounds in your psyche, just healing them in addition to other things. I went camping over the summer and I took the highest dose I'd taken in a while, which is maybe it was like 1.5 grams, 2 grams. I'm not sure. I didn't have a scale out there. Anyways, when I did this, okay, so let me get the context of this whole story. So I was at this event. It was in New Jersey. It was at this. It was like this like black people camping, whatever the fuck, and cool music and just cool vibes. Event in New Jersey, and just this interesting place where it was all sand that I don't even understand. And that rhymes with sand. Oh, so anyways, so earlier, before I took the shrooms, here's what happened. Someone was leading a yoga class, right? Someone's leading this yoga class, and during one of the poses, it caused us to look up, right? Because it was like a turn, and you look up. And as I looked up, I saw what I thought was a rainbow, right? And I don't think anybody else saw what I was seeing, right? And so I was like, but I wasn't like sure. Like I had this moment of doubt, and I just like, didn't say anything. And this is the crowd that's like, ooh, a rainbow. You better fucking shout that out. They love rainbows in these sort of crowds. And so I didn't say anything. A few moments later, someone else saw, I was like, oh, rainbow. I was like, oh, yeah, oh, rainbow, yeah. Oh, I just saw that too. Oh, whatever. Anyways, so that happened. And then also later, like, there's this thing where you have to write, like, a compliments poem about yourself. It was actually mad lit. You have to write a compliment poem to yourself, right? And, you didn't have to get up there, but everyone was very encouraging. It's like, I'm classic me, even though, like, I love writing. And I love performing to an extent. I was just like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll get up there. I was being all coy and shit. And, but I get up there and like, everybody was very encouraging and, I had a good poem and everybody liked it. Everybody was, loved it and, gave great encouraging, sounds and noises and energy, But anyway, so those two things happened, right? Let's keep those stories in mind. And so then later when I did the shrooms, really a lot of memories came back of like just social trauma that I've experienced, like just because, everyone's got some trauma, folks, that they have to deal with. Mine was primarily social in nature, just not really feeling I fit in, weird things happening, just a lot of shit that, really, I never really felt like I had friends for many years, what I'm saying, like true friends, what I'm saying, for various things that happened. And, it's definitely, I've understood myself so that I understand why I act certain ways, especially in friendships and with people. And, yeah, it's, it's the main thing that I'm dealing with. So this environment, which was very welcoming and just encouraging, just generally encouraging with, people I had like just met. I mean, some of them I met at the previous one. There's like the second iteration. And it was just, it was very welcoming because I'm always just kind of like, hey, I'm a lone wolf, whatever, just, but just, I'm afraid of rejection from peers, frankly, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes that will cause me to like, just really do too much when it comes to peer relationships. Not in a healthy way for me, so anyways, I took these shrooms. There's like fractures in my psyche from that like, well, I didn't think I'd gotten over that. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. This is still here. All right, okay. So when it happened earlier, it really, more than I would have admitted it, like if someone right after that happened with the poem, they'd be like, does that mean a lot to you? I'd be like, oh, whatever, what I'm saying? But that meant a fucking lot to me. To approval, like, of peers in that way, that's why I don't always share my writing and shit like that, which, that's a classic thing. But these are the things, like, I don't want to be a coward with that. Well, I don't want to share writing. Oh, grow up. Grow up. You know what I'm saying? Who cares? Just think about it like this. Not that it's about comparing people. There's probably somebody with worse writing than you that shared it. Okay? So, like, if that doesn't, come on. Just share it. You know what I'm saying? Just get it out there. I'm not able to share everything. But, so, you know, in sharing just how, what I'm trying to say is psychedelics, psilocybin, right? But, you know, it wasn't, you know, I even go in with the intention of like, I'm gonna heal this, this thing related to, my peer relationships, my psyche. It just lined up that way with those things happening, where it's the other one where it's like, I doubted myself, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to be wrong. Right, I didn't want to put myself out there just in case it wasn't what I thought it was and I looked stupid. Right, I didn't want to be humiliated, especially in front of peers. I've been humiliated too many times in front of peers. I didn't want it to happen again, you know. So I didn't say anything. Like, oh, whatever, you know. Oh, it's a rainbow, you know, whatever, no big deal. But you know, these are the things that happen that kind of keep us from, you know, really activating our inner fire. As we stay a coward in ways that we know we need to expand past, right? And again, a plug for, if those fucking family members or friends are talking shit, or you could just feel that they're not supportive of positive change you're making in life, fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. So when you say it louder, fuck them. You gotta have that mindset, especially if you're really entwined with someone, right? And especially with families. And I mean entwined because one, it could be psychological, emotional, it could be physical, it could be living with them, right? Or in close proximity, right? It could be all these sort of things going on. And so it's like you gotta understand that dynamic, you know, that's sort of happening. And how you are dealing with it, especially if it's not, you know, healthy to you. You know what I'm saying? Don't let people manipulate you into enabling their shitty behavior. How about that, folks? How about that? Don't let people manipulate you into enabling their shitty behavior. Is that what I said? Pretty sure that's what I said. Damn, that's good. Yeah. Because that's what happens. That's why it's like, yo, you gotta be just real mindful of people and just how they're interacting with you. That's why it's like interesting. I read this dark psychology book a few months ago. That shit was so fascinating because I was like, oh, because I started to see, especially in one of my relationships, someone who did like numerous things that this book was talking about in terms of like dark psychology manipulation on people. I was like, oh, that's why I didn't like that. I was like, oh, okay. And sometimes, I mean, I'd probably say true psychopaths, sociopaths, whatever the term is, do it consciously, but I feel like a lot of people do it like kind of subconsciously, unconsciously. They just got that tape playing back there that it's like, this is how we get shit we want. So we manipulate people, and it's so unconscious at this point that it's just like, you know, it's just the press and play, you know, and they're not even press and play. It's just kind of running in the background until they change it. And, you know, someone's like, hey, do you know when you're manipulative or some shit? But anyways, just, you know, yeah, you just gotta understand, like, one, okay, so Chogyam talks about something called idiot compassion, which is an enabling type of compassion. And I thought about this a lot recently, where not all compassion is equal. All right, you can kind of enable someone's ego mind and their behavior, you know, in a way that's not serving them, because it's like you're too I don't know, just like people with a lot of neuroses. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not using it in the clinical term. I'm talking about like in a Buddhist psychology term. People have a lot of neuroses, and you know, you don't want to enable that. That's why I think like a huge part of having a healthy relationship is. That's why communication and honesty are so important. Is you don't want to enable the other person's neuroses and delusions, right? That's why it's like, yo, it's like see something, say something. You know, it's like this is what happened. This is what I saw. This is my testimony. And you know, reasonable people who are open to growth, they'll have a reasonable reaction most of the time, um, you know, to information that they may not want to hear, that's disappointing, that doesn't meet their expectations or doesn't meet their ideals of what they feel like they should have done or will do or can do, you know, blah, 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 blah. So just, yeah, so idiot compassion is it's just really when just yeah, you're just caught up in someone's bullshit in an enabling way. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's like two sides. I think one, it's like it could be, it's serving both people's egos, right? Where one part of it is the person, okay, let's say someone's going through some shit, right? They're going through XYZ shit. It doesn't even matter the shit they're going through, frankly. And it's like, hey friends, you know, I'm really going through some shit. I just really need someone to talk to. Like, oh yeah, are you going through some shit? Oh, okay. And then, you know, you're talking to the person and they're telling about the shit they're going through. And, you know, maybe you've heard some of the shit before. Maybe not. Maybe this is the first time the person has gone through some shit, right? But maybe not. Maybe you've seen this shit go through before. And so, you know, they're talking about the shit they're going through, and you're listening. And maybe you listen. Maybe you don't even offer feedback. You just listen. You're a great listener. You just listen to the shit the person's going through. Now, maybe towards the end, or maybe not even at this point, you offer some feedback, right? It's like, hey, I'm sorry you're going through that. You know, I really am. That's why I always like that approach. It's like you listen first. Men, this one's for you. If any men listen to this, listen to your wife or girlfriend first before offering immediate feedback, unless they're like, give me an immediate solution to this. You know what I'm saying? Because lots of times, and this go for men too, lots of times people will be listened to. And that's the most important than necessarily the solution to the issue they're talking about. Right? Because listen, in my job, I realize that all the time. There's people just need to, just someone to listen to what they're going through. And they're not even looking for a solution. Just someone listens, right? The people will come see me, like they're formerly incarcerated dudes, like, I'll listen and they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I'm like, you're fine. You're not, and I'll tell them, because I always want to encourage people in this way, like, you're not talking too much. You're sharing your feelings. I appreciate it. Tell me more. It's fine. Keep talking. You got to get it out. Do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like in lots of ways people feel shut down from their feelings, from being able to talk. That's why that's a recurring theme in my life when people tell me, I'm sorry I'm talking too much. And I'm like, God damn it, you're not talking too much. And it just always makes me so mad. That it's like, yo, you're not talking too much. Yeah, people can talk too much. It's kind of a social thing, but it's always in situations where I'm like, this person for me is not talking too much. The people that they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm saying too much. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. And I was just like, you're fine. Like, you're fine. You're not talking too much, but just people, all of us are just in many different ways from our family. Again, this is the family dynamic, or it could be from just big daddy governments hovering over in our consciousness, over there. Like, what are they going to do? We just always just feel like shut the fuck up. Just always sort of like shut down. And it's at the end of the day, it's like, we gotta get over that in ourselves. Because after a while, maybe if someone actually said it to you, after a while, probably no one's actually literally saying it to you. You're just saying it to yourself. And you're shutting yourself down. And you're just reinforcing your cowardice at the end of the day. At the end of the day. At the beginning of the night, that's why I wanted to flip it to when I was thinking about the other day. At the beginning of the night, you really have to understand that at the beginning of the night, it's the beginning of the night. Thank you. I had to look back at the title to keep me on track. That's why you write down things. But Shogun would say, I don't trust my mind because I had to write it down. It's a good point. I don't trust my mind. I don't like going on tangents. I like a clear thing, but it's like maybe that's my ego. My ego wants it to be this consistent message. I started here, I had these points, so I got to all these points. Doesn't that sound like an ego thing, right? So the fact that I go all over the place, that's like defying the ego, frankly. Because I'm annoyed when I'm like, oh, what was I talking about? But am I doing this for for a college project where I'm being graded on this presentation? No, I'm not. And at some point in the near future, I do want to start doing whole presentations with slides on topics and shit. But, I'm still just, we're just out here. We're just surfing on a Thursday evening. Anyways, so that idiot compassion, at least I got back to that. That idiot compassion piece is very important because so get back to that story. Well, there we figured it out. So I just had to release that, maybe I'll get back, maybe I won't, and just never really just care too much if I get back or not. So anyway, so what I'm trying to get to is maybe that person's cycle is they just want to feel comforted. They don't actually want to, they don't actually want to grow. They just want to feel coddled, maybe, want to feel comforted. Like some of my caseload, essentially, I canceled an appointment because I called out of work. And the dude, like, when I sent him the text, like, hey, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Like, I'm not feeling well. I'm not in work today. He's like, yeah, it is a inconvenience. And it was like this whole long text where he was just like, bro, you got big shoes to fill. The person you was there before, blah, 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 was better. She just did this. She just that. I just had to show up. You know what I'm saying? But, this is why it's like, I especially if someone writes something to me, I read it very carefully because it's like people tell you everything you want to know about them with what they say. That's why I would be very interested in all the shit I say, what it says about me. I have my own opinion, but I'd be curious someone else's opinion. But anyway, so sent me this whole long message about the other person and how they worked. And what I got out of this, which I sort of also gathered from how my predecessor worked, I was like, oh, okay, so he wants a mother or father figure. Like, just based on, what he said in his message. Like, that's what he was saying to me. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, hey, I just need to, it was, no accountability on his end. And he never even told me these things. I didn't know that he wanted to do these things, so it was just funny. But I was like, I'm glad I called out of work and this whole thing happened. Because it's I don't know, if I had met him, maybe all this shit wouldn't have come out. That's why in Buddhism, you welcome chaos and you welcome misfortune, folks. Because you know what? Here's the thing, folks. I'm leaning in real tight because this place, it kind of has that sort of thing going on anyways. So it's if you just kind of embrace it, just kind of know it's par for the course, then when it comes, you're like, oh, let's just not truth. This is why some of us out here do occult science so we can manipulate this mirage and further avoid bullshit. I'm just out here trying to get paid, do some occult rituals, have a whole bunch of laughs, deal with some pain, process pain, deal with the grief, deal with the pain, deal with the misery, alchemize it, saute it, grill it, turn it into fish, dish, make it for the rich. I don't know what song that is. Grill it, turn it into fish, a servant to the rich. Anyways, the point I'm making is you can't be a coward with dealing with your journey, with dealing with your path. So we need to get back to the main thing we're on now, which is the different modalities we can use to heal ourselves. So, I mentioned psilocybin, and, then we can get into a whole bunch of other plant teachers. I wouldn't call psilocybin a plant teacher. Psilocybin, I would say, is more of a tool. I agree with Kalindi. Psilocybin is more of a tool, but it can also heal things. Maybe it's like a Swiss Army knife. I think you can explore with it, but also you could heal with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you could also buff out some stains on your car with it, possibly. Anyways, you're not a coward, right? Because true fucking bravery. You know what true bravery is? I don't care about fucking warriors. I don't care how many people you killed. I don't care how many battles you've been. True bravery is looking into your own fucking heart. That's true bravery. That is true bravery. I don't care what you've done out there in the world. Have you looked into your own heart? Have you seen what's in there? Have you looked at that? Have you gone to that basement? Have you? Because most don't even dare to venture into their heart basement. Because it's just piled up with pain. And now that pain is like radioactive. Radioactive pain. They call me radioactive pain. Radioactive pain. Where's my chapstick? I need some chapstick. But even if it's radioactive, you gotta go down there with your hazmat suits, right? Like it's fucking, what's that thing? I don't know, Contagion. Any of those movies. I was trying to think of Outbreak. Yeah, that's one. You gotta go in there with your hazmat suit. And it's like, what, are you going to just let it take over your whole shit? Like, oh, it's toxic down there. I'm not going to do it. No, you get the fuck down there and deal with your thing. You got to deal with your chakras. And that's the bridge here. Before we get back to the other things you can do, I was going to talk about ayahuasca. We can talk about, San Pedro, Wachuma, right? And there's, DMT, Bufo, whole bunch of things you can do, Cat's out the bag. All right, folks? But even if you don't have those things, there's other things you can even do. Well, I'm going to get to this in a second, but let's talk about this bridge section. So our chakra system, that is our emotional energy system. And, each chakra, each of the major chakras are related to different glands, and there's minor chakras and that sort of thing, right? But there's also different emotions and feelings that are stored in different parts of the system. And just like we were talking about pain, which is related to this, you need to fucking, we're constipated in our chakras, right? But it's more like overactive, underactive is my understanding. So depending on, what you got going on, with this one or that one, the way it's going, you can have vastly different symptoms, you know what I'm saying? But the point is, this is where you got to do the work, right? And you'll just, that's why I don't know, it's a funny thing where I feel like astrology does have an effect on people, but it's really ultimately someone's chakra system that they need to really focus on, and not necessarily their astrological energy template that they've been given. Because, I guess it could accentuate a certain way. But the point is, you have to be brave and look into this stuff, right? Shit that's fucked up your Muladhara, your root chakra, and shit that's fucked up all the other chakras. And a lot of people, the lower three chakras, right? The ones related to Malkuth, related to Earth, they could be really, really messing you up, which is only going to destabilize the upper chakras and then lead to issues up there, That's why, I really feel like Muladhara is the most important chakra because it's the chakra that, it's the foundation. It's where we're at. You know what I'm saying? It's the physical world. So it's like, if you want the other ones to be strong, you got to make sure that one's humming along nicely, and it's doing what it needs to do, because it's going to influence the rest of them. So you got to deal with your chakras, and there's lots of books that can tell you about the different associations of the chakras and this and that, and maybe I'll do a whole presentation on that. But you got to deal with your emotional body system. It's like, you got to deal with your mind and your relationship with thoughts, right? And the thoughts you feed into, the thoughts you let go, you got to deal with that. Then you got to deal with the emotional energy system, right? Once you've dealt with those, then it's like, whew, you're really doing something, right? And then, like, if you're doing spiritual work, you've like cleared a whole lane, because it's like, then your mind isn't necessarily a problem, and then your emotional system isn't necessarily a problem. Doesn't mean you don't have fucked up thoughts. Doesn't mean you don't have pain and things coming up emotionally, or feelings coming up emotionally, but you've at least detoxed these systems, right? You don't necessarily detox the mind, I don't think. I mean, the psyche does need to be detoxed, and that's why, like, ayahuasca is like a psyche, like, deep clean. You know what I'm saying? Just really, get in there. And I think psilocybin can be that too, but I would say comparatively, it's like, you really want to buff those floors in that psyche, in that psychic psychic body. Throw a little ayahuasca in that bucket. Get it? See what I did there? So dear folks, you can't let anything get in the way of your ascension, of your evolution, of your growth, and you got to deal with your mind. You have to deal with your feelings, because here's a newsflash. Thoughts can't exist unless we engage with them. So if you have a thought, I want to punch that fucking bitch in the face right now. That's only going to get worse if you engage that thought. It can't work otherwise. It can't work otherwise. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get that nigga, that little bitch ass nigga. And I'm going to take his bitch. And it just escalates. It's going to be like, I'm such a piece of shit. I forgot Jenny's birthday. I'm always forgetting people's birthdays. Why am I so stupid? I'm a fucking just idiot. Holy shit. Like, I should just fucking die. I'm so stupid, right? And just keep spiraling because you're feeding the wolf. You're feeding the thought mirage, and you can't feed it. You can't feed it. You have to figure out why you're feeding it. And this is the fucked up part about it. You could be feeding the thought mirage the cycle that's going on in your mind, because that's what you're used to. Not that you particularly like it, not that you particularly enjoy it, but that's what you're used to. And so anything outside of that is just like, I don't even know what my body could think or feel like outside of how it's always thought or felt, how it's felt for a while. We get sucked into having this sort of identity we build, not only just broadly about ourselves, but this identity we build around just a state we're in, where it's like, I'm just in this fucked up state, right? We just build this whole identity. We build this whole identity around just being in this state that, even in the face of transcending the state, we're still comfortable. Even if we know it's like not a healthy state, a toxic state, we don't come out of it. Shogim calls it setting sun mentality versus like, great eastern sun, right? The rising sun, right? You're in a setting sun. Everything's like, oh, well, whatever, shit is, right? Everything's like, shit's fucked up, like, whatever, I'm a piece of shit, right? It's like, that's always how the sentence ends, right? That setting sun mentality. But it's such a coward mentality, because it's a mentality where it's like you're giving up before you even try, right? And that's why it's being a coward. That's why, not facing yourself is being a coward and facing your pain, because lots of time it's a paper tiger. You look at it and you're like, oh, that's adorable. I have this thing now. Quick side story. I have this thing now where where so, like certain things I want to do that maybe I'm like, oh, I don't like, not that I'm like, I can't do it, but like I'm having some sort of apprehension on doing the next steps, right? Even if I tell myself I'm not, it's like, well, I'm not progressing with it. So what's going on? Right. And it's funny. So I did an exercise with myself, and here's what I did. Whatever it was, I was just thinking about these different things. I was just like, oh, I need to do that. And I hadn't done it for whatever reason, right? I just completely made fun of it in my mind. And just eviscerate, even with something I loved, I was like, I'm going to go like do art? That's so dumb. And not that I was like actually saying it was dumb, but it was just like a funny thing. Cause then it's like, well, I might as well do it. Like, it is kind of dumb that I'm like painting things, like, and it's not, and it's like not on the literal level that it was actually stupid. It was like more that I was just making fun of that I was doing this thing, and just me doing that and just actually making a joke about it made like lighten me up, where it's like, it feels less of not a burden, but less of a barrier. Like a barrier is lifted. Like once I was just like, oh, yeah, that is silly. I'm still gonna do it. That's dumb. And it's nothing about judgment and activity. Like it's just, it was kind of, here's what I kind of came to. It's like essentially that everything that's happening on Earth that's not of the other world is just kind of dumb. Right? It's like, it's the physical world. This shit's kind of stupid. It's cool. Right? I say it's both a prison and a playground. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, okay, all right. Just, it's enough already. Like, we see all the cycles of just how things cycle along and things go up and down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just look back. I'm just like looking back at like a town from afar now. I'm just like, oh, okay, so these are the cycles, these are the patterns, And it's just funny to watch now. It's very interesting, and it's just funny to watch also. So, and just kind of looking at all these sort of patterns of just civilization, like you realize that it's like, yo, first of all, society's going through this fucked up pattern, so am I. Actually, you know what I'm saying? As much as I want to say it's out there, it's in here too. It's in here too. Unless you deal with it. But people don't deal with it. Like there's someone who I befriended recently, and she was talking about the relationship with her mom. And it's like, damn, that's real toxic. And because it's like she's like caught up in like a web with the mom, and just there was always already a not healthy relationship. As I take everything with a grain of salt. This is one side of this thing, and it is what it is. But the point I'm trying to make is, you can't be a coward. You can't be a coward with facing yourself. You can't. And it just seems so simple. It really just seems so simple. And it sounds like a broken record. Like, we get it. We get it. Just don't be a coward to figure yourself. Posh, like, what's the big deal? Why are you going on and on about it? It's because people don't do it. And it's like, I've been steeped in Buddhism for so many fucking years. And it's like, now I feel like just so many seeds from like many years ago have been like the plant is like, we got seedlings now. So like now numerous things, when something happens, I'm like, oh yeah, that slogan, this slogan, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm understanding more and more, right? Like after the seeds have been planted, you know what I'm saying? And this is one of the important seeds. It's like, don't be afraid in facing yourself. This is why we run away. This is why we have babysitters. And I don't mean actually babysitters. I mean things we want to rate to. Literal, physical, figurative, psychologically, emotionally, physically, to keep us off of the pain that we don't want to deal with. right? And it all takes different forms, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's like when people just focus on, be like forms that are like drugs and alcohol, I'm like, y'all niggas are dumb. You're just focusing on those forms, you know what I'm saying? There's people addicted to owning companies probably out here, just, you know what I'm saying, amassing fortunes, you know what I'm saying, and probably doing like even more damage that's like so much more insidious, but you know, it's like, oh, he's a successful, whatever the fuck he is. So, you have to be just unrelenting and like, yo, I'm facing myself. You know, and the point I was trying to make is like, even in all the Buddhism I've been steeped in over the years, it's still like, oh my, like shit. Like shit. It's a fucking, goddamn. I'm glad I've read some of these books. And these books are, by the way, I always want to point these out. If you read these books I'm about to share with you, and your shit doesn't improve, but it's not about getting better. It's more about discovering who you truly are underneath all the bullshit, all the ego minds, all the fucking thoughts that are not your true essence, that are actually your personality that you've inherited from toxic people in your fucking life. I'm going off, folks. Right? There's a difference. Like I was reading this shit on this Gnostic website, and they make this point about like, your essence is what you come here with, right? Your essence. Your personality is what you pick up from other people in this world. It is not the true fucking you. Let me repeat that. I know that sounds so patronizing. Let me repeat that. See, I call myself out on my silly behavior, but let me repeat that. Your essence is that's the diamond, indestructible, the Vajra within you, the lightning bulb, the thing that is no thing that is beyond all fucking things ever that could ever exist. Right? The undestroyable part of you that is pure, not even pure love. It's that even makes it seem like it's a Disney movie. You know what I'm saying? Like it's beyond description, right? That essence is not your personality. That is all the bullshit, toxic behavior and mindsets and conditioning and fears and anxiety that we've absorbed from our environment, from our parents, from our friends, right? And this is the shit we have to clear out, right? Just like when we don't take a shit, we're constipated. There's that analogy again. We gotta deal with it. Actually, there's a funny thing. I was reading, like Choga was talking about, like, just, you know, getting your shit together, just broadly speaking. And, you know, he made a good point about like, it's like, think of it like this, when you vomit, right? It just kind of happens, right? You don't want to like, how am I going to do it? Right? It just sort of happens. And he's like, and he kind of just made that point about like, yeah, that's like kind of the spiritual path. It's like, you just got to relax more. You just got to let it happen. You got to let the vomiting happen, like literally. And just stop trying to ego minds and solve your way out of it. But anyways, I wanted to talk about these books. I put them down. But the point I'm trying to make is, just being unrelenting and just dealing with just what you got going on. Just be unrelenting, you know, and just it's your movie. It's your movie, and just that's the better movie ending, you know what I'm saying? Just be unrelenting and just dealing with what's in your heart and your mind. And you know, that's the biggest lesson I've learned from Buddhism, you know what I'm saying? Because it's always like, oh well, you know, I'm tired. I don't want to keep dealing with this, but it's like, nah, because it's like, I don't think that energy is ever destroyed until you destroy it. And it transforms. I mean, transform it, destroy it, whatever. But the point is, I keep saying the point is when I forget my point. I forget my point at that. I'm like, well, the point is that I forgot my point again. But the thing I'm trying to get at is that it's really insidious how we just carry on our toxicity and we don't clear it out and we don't do anything with it and we don't, you know, we don't face it, you know. So anyway, so non-psychedelic things to do to deal with your fucking shit is reading. Okay, so I talk about these books all the time. Boom. 2 Cho Yum Trumpa books. and one Pema Chodron book, which was his student, When Things Fall Apart. And this is by Pema Chodron. And this is Training the Mind and Cultivating Love and Kindness by Chogyam Trungpa, which is a commentary book on classic Buddhist slogans. And then this one is Shambhala, The Sacred Path of the Warrior, which is just a classic text. And I feel like if you read these books, if you read any of these books, if you just randomly get these books and randomly open to the page as soon as you get these books, I guarantee you'll just be like frothing on the floor. Just like, what? Ah! Because you won't even be able to handle it. Because this shit, talk about toxic for your ego. Well, that's actually what they put on the back of this one. It's hazardous for your ego. Because it challenges that shit. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful the past 10 years I've been working with these books. Because now I get it. I get it to a higher degree now. Not that I get it. But I get myself to a higher degree now. And all the fucking bullshit, all the toxicity that the mind will generate if you're not mindful of its tricks. And it's just a little jokester, trickster, that ego mind, like, hee, oh, you little bitch, like, you know. Well, you know, we mean seizures, but yes, duly noted. But the point is, you'll get smacked in the face by the teachings in these books because they're timeless teachings. Like, you know, they had egos back in the day, and now more than ever, people have insane egos, and the ego is taken on various forms that are very, very clever, very clever, very, very clever forms. Like, it's funny, like when I take psilocybin, it's like I feel like it's the only moments when like I can talk to my true self directly. Like, it's like other times I gotta whisper, like, it's like you're like a hostage to your ego, like, you can hear, I can't, like, I'm trying to blink at my highest self, like, hey, it's like Morse code to my highest self, right? But like when I'm on psilocybin, my highest self is like, bitch, here's what you need to do. That nigga's asleep. You know, but these are all aspects of ourselves. But yeah, I just feel like I can, you know, it's like that. It's like mushrooms, like drug your ego minds. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of just like napping at your, snoring, and you know you can talk to your highest self like, hey, this is what's up. Yeah, he's out for a couple hours, so I got some shit I want to tell you. You ready? Like, okay. Like, yeah. Okay, first you got to break up with that person. Like, you know, whatever it is. But yeah, you got, it's like, just like, you know, you gotta have a good shitting regimen. You got a good psyche, emotional chakra body cleansing routine and detox schedule, right? They say like every season, I think, you should do a cleanse on yourself. You know, whatever, but you gotta have something. It's like, you know, I need to do a psychological, emotional detoxing once a year. That's why, you know, I've always, shrooms, shrooms like every 6 months, no more than twice a year. I mean, that's just an arbitrary rule. But I always like that, you know, like considerable experience. I mean, like microdosing, I mean, like you take a substantial amount, you know what I'm saying? You know, you process what is the information that is received, right? And then, you know, you go about what you go about, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I feel like those times you can really connect with your highest self and not have your ego minds, you know, be like, what, bitch? What'd you say on the phone? Like, oh, nothing. Everything's great over here. Highest self. Everything's great. Highest self. Help me, highest self. Help me. Highest self. Help me. You know, and that's the situation we're in. You know what I'm saying? Because the ego mind is quite a trickster. It's very clever. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand the tricks of your ego mind that keep you in a disempowered state. You know what I'm saying? That keeps you being a coward. You have to understand the tricks. Everyone's tricks are different. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's ego mind's tricks are different. That's why solitude is the best thing for people, because then you can really see it. Because then you're not influenced by other people's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You can see your shit right up close when you're by yourself. And hopefully you're not distracting yourself too much. You know what I'm saying? You're spending time with yourself, meditating, if not just fucking doing some shit, so you're aware of how your mind operates. But you know what I'm saying? But people, that's another babysitting, being with people, right? Just, oh, I don't want to be alone. Person, I'm alone. I'm alone. Good. Be alone. Yeah. What are you thinking? Okay, well, stop getting into that whole loop. It's funny because it's like you don't suppress, like if you're having like a negative thought loop where you're like thinking about all these things and this and you're going from thing to thing and like you're just caught up in a loop like that, it's not that you're necessarily trying to suppress it, but you're trying to back up and look at the whole thing. You're trying to look at the whole landscape of what's happening, right? You're trying to see the whole thing as it's developing, right? Because if you're just focusing on like too close up, then it's harder to really observe it, as a scientist, right? We're scientists, we're experimenters here. At least that's how I feel. I'm an occultist experimenter out here, folks. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool. So curiosity reigns supreme. So I get curious about when certain things happen, what triggers them, what leads them, how do I keep them going, what leads them stopping, what gets them going again. I'm just curious about these things, but I'm trying to look at it a little bit further back, taking it like instead of I'm a piece of shit. You know what? Having a physical body and all these emotions and all this shit and trauma and pain, that sucks actually. That's more the issue than I'm a piece of shit. Because my essence isn't a piece of shit. I know that's for fuck's sake, right? My essence is a piece of shit. My personality, that can be a piece of shit. And this is part of our getting our ego mind shit together, right? So our personality isn't just toxic and just not serving us. Like this dude said this quote to me today. I love my life sometimes because people be saying like the most just mind-blowing shit randomly to me. Just the most mind-blowing thing that like I don't expect. Like even like this dude at the gym, like he was like a sensei of swimming and I had this shirt on with a poem I did and he was just fucking like I just always like, oh, it was this weird dude. And this is why it's like I hate when I do that because so many times I've like had that like, oh, look at this creeper weirdo, especially people at the gym. And I understand my own judgments with that. And I'm working on it, folks. I'm working on it. But so I had already made like some sort of judgment about this dude. And like then like he just like was reading my poem because it was funny. I saw him staring at me and I was just like, this dude's staring at me. And I was like getting shade. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but whatever. I just ran with it. And then I turn around, and he's like, he said something about I was reading your poem. I was like, oh, okay, jeez, don't be like, that is kind of creepy. How are you doing? I was just leering at me. He's like, ooh, I want some of that sexy chocolate man over there. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going on. But anyways, but then he was talking about like, he was like, I'm a sensei. I was like, ooh, he's like, I'm swimming. I was like, ooh, a sensei of swimming? And I was like, I've never heard of that before. And then he was just talking about some fucking real mystical shit about teaching people to be one with the water. And I was just like, what the fuck is happening? It was just, but it's like so many times that's happened to me where it's like, I make a judgment on someone and then like, it gets flipped on its head, like in just some funny way where they give me some sort of fucking piece of advice or just some sort of thing that I'm like, what the fuck just happened right now? Like, I don't even, like, God damn it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just a recurring thing. Just like the thing of people always telling me like, yo, I'm talking too much. Like that, like, yo, hey, anybody listening out there, anybody who ever seen this video ever, yo, you're fine. I get, at least if you're talking to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want people who are sharing their thoughts and feelings. Not talking about, oh, did you see the NFL playoffs? Oh, did you see this? And there's nothing wrong with that. Yo, watch sports. I watch baseball. I'm a loose baseball fan at this point. You know what I'm saying? There's things. I'm not saying I'm all occult, all spiritual 24/7. You know what I'm saying? But my primary focus is knowing myself and just, being the best little bodhisattva I could be. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where I was going with that, folks. I'm way out there. I'm way far off ashore. I know I was talking about different modalities for healing, where I was getting into that. And I was talking about psychedelics, right? We talked about psilocybin, we talked about ayahuasca, bufo, we talked about Wachuma, San Pedro. And then I did it aside. What was the bridge? What was a bridge topic? That's how I was all the way the fuck over here. I was talking about the bridge topic. Oh, the chakra system. Okay, that was the bridge topic. We were talking about the chakra system. Well, I don't know. If anybody wants to get me back on track, I remember it's the point I was going for. Go for it is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I'll just look at the title of the thing. Okay, so don't be a coward. Oh, yeah. That's it. Yo, thank you. Yo, I appreciate you. I really do. I really do. For someone who's just, man, when I do these things, I'm all over the place, but that's how I know I'm flowing with the spirit. I do. Like, I look at the shit now where it's like, I have this thing back there, right? It says, actually, I'm going to go get it. And I have to get a drink. All right. Whoa. Pine cone fell. So I have this thing. It used to say 99% practice, 1% theory, but now it says 99% play, 1% march. So, and I would even say dance, play, 1% march. And what I mean by that is, you got to figure out the way to do your life with the most play with the smallest amount of choreography, which means the smallest amount of ego minds, like, at play. You know what I'm saying? I usually describe our ego mind like this. It's like a little slave. It's like a little slave that you have in the corner, right? You have under control. That's the main point. That when you need some sort of inputs of the personality ego minds, right? Like, oh, come over here, ego minds. Like, we have a task for you. You know what I'm saying? We have to do some interacting with the world, okay? So let's put on our mask and let's go out there as posh and do these things. Ooh, hey, I'm Posh Gibson. You know what I'm saying? So, just realizing that, it's just, it's a role we're putting on, essentially. And so, we don't take it seriously. We don't take any of it seriously, this role. And, since we don't take it seriously, we share, we don't hold on to it. Because if the ego mind always wants its survival, right? And it's always going for survival of itself, right? Because it's like, you're here, you're on Malkuth, you're here, you're in a physical body, you're here, right? It's trying to reinforce itself, right? For its own existence, for its own survival. So whatever it's got to do to make you feel in your body, that's the trick. You feel like shit. You think like shit. That's all fucking ego. That's why even in meditation, like, they'll talk about how, which I know is about myself, I have thoughts, but like I've learned how to like kind of like once I'm thinking, just come back to your breath. You got to do it 1,000 times in 10 minutes. Just come right back. Don't feel any type of way. Just come right back. Every time. Come right back. And you just get good about, like, it's like if you're learning martial arts, you learn a block, saying, just like, oh, okay. You just learn how to come right back to your breath, right? But I may be better at that, but I move a lot, right? And I don't take that as like, oh, I want to move, because sometimes, yeah, I can be uncomfortable, but sometimes it's in here. A lot of times it's in here. That's why I'm actually moving. You know what I'm saying? So that is part of it. You know what I'm saying? And even if you have a feeling, you still treat that, because like that's just, that's why it's like a funny thing, because having a body means you have to have something that is happening to something, right? Like there's subject object. They always talk about that. There's subject object, right? I'm experiencing pain in my body, right? I am the subject and the object is my body, where I'm experiencing pain or I'm having these thoughts in my body, but it's all mirage. And so reinforcing it reinforces us like in our body. It like I'm here, right? I'm taking this seriously. These mirages, right? I'm not saying pain doesn't feel great. You know, I'm not saying pain feels great or anything like that. We have to understand it's a mirage, and that's like just like shits are smelly, and like we're not like, ooh, this smells like roses. This shit, no, it doesn't smell great. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest here. But it's like, you know, we take a shit, we flush it, and we move on, right? And, you know, but there's some shit we'll hold on to for a variety of reasons. We'll just hold on to them because we could be used to it. I feel like that was a tangent I was doing earlier about shit we just hold on to because we're used to holding on to it. And then our family members like hold on to a certain, or friends hold on to a certain view of us, and they kind of project a certain energy of us, and like, you know, either intentionally, unintentionally, subconsciously, both. But it's like, you know, they'll project this like energy about like, you're this, you're this, you're this, right? They'll project that energy out there of us. Now, it's up to us not to accept that energy. And this is where the work is. Because, like, if we're identifying with that energy, then we're going to accept it. You know what I'm saying? And it's up to us to change, like, no, I'm actually this energy now. Right? Then it's like, bing, you know, bounces right off. Bing! You know? And I think, yeah, I think that's that's a thing. Because I mean, man, damn, I just gotta go down this rabbit hole. Okay, so one's parents are our first mind controllers and traumatizers lots of times. So I'm just gonna go right into it. So, yeah, like, you know, they're the first people who mind control us into a certain thing, or traumatize us in a certain way. And so we just have to deal with that on an inner child level of dealing with that. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with that portal, right? That hole, that's, you know, that feeling. And, you know, that's just first and foremost, you know what I'm saying? Just like what actually happened and dealing with what actually happened, you know, and, you know, just, you know, and and it's the hardest part of it. You gotta forgive people. You have to be compassionate to them, in their pain, in their trauma, you know, and it takes a while, a lot of times to get there with certain people who've done fucked up things to you, who've abused you, who've said terrible things to you, who've abandoned you, who've, you know, hit you, some terrible things, assaulted you, right? And it's like, until you forgive, you're just always sipping on that poison of hate, anger, you know, so many things, you know, just so many poisons, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, honestly, I think you could still want to beat someone and still forgive them in a weird sort of way. You know, but it's like, yeah, like, cause it's like, you'll always, and like, that's your shit to deal with, that forgiveness, right? Cause it's like, yo, there's people who, you know, you've done shit too. Your shit isn't all rosy, even if you think it is, you know, and that's the compassion. That's always just having the compassion, and as much as one can, because you have compassion for yourself, first of all, that you experience these things. You don't minimize your own pain. Let's start there. Just start there. Don't minimize your own pain, right? You don't hype it up. You don't be like, hey, everybody, I'm experiencing pain, right? You don't hype it up. It's as is. You know, this is my pain. This is what I'm experiencing, right? You don't hype it up, but you just kind of, here's what it is, folks, right? That's why it's like, yo, I can tell when people have like been shut down for various reasons, and like, I'm talking too much. It breaks my heart sometimes when people say that to me, because I just like think about like when they're younger and they're excited and exuberant and like, hey, and they're, talking about something and their dad or mom is like, shut the fuck up, or like, oh, get out of here. Like, oh, you're so, just like, and then after a while, just all those times, then it's just like, okay, I should just shut up then. Okay. And then, on to adulthood and, maybe people will prosper, maybe people, do well and things like that, but like their inner child has been silenced. And so many people have inner childs that have been silenced. And I'm crying. Results of silence inner child. I'm laughing, but I'm also crying. But no, real talk, And and this is why you gotta detox your psyche, you gotta detox your fucking emotional systems. And, because that inner child, like it's hurting, it's hurting, and just everyone has their inner child wounds. You can't be living in Malkuth without them. It's like your Malkuth Barrett badge is like, oh yeah, like, yo, here's my Malkuth inner child trauma, It's like everybody has it. It's like, again, you don't show it off. You don't show off these things, and it's funny to say show off because it makes you seem like, who would show off pain and things like that. Sometimes people do, you know what I'm saying? People want to be seen sometimes, and that's, again, that could be part of our ego. People don't feel like they're seen. So maybe if they actually have pain, maybe it's like people will pity them. Maybe people will take compassion on them. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like the difference between someone who is maybe just seeking comfort and seeking, pity versus someone who's like, no, I'm going through this, and hopefully can put in a wider perspective, right? But if not, that's fine, right? But also is like, yo, I know what I need to do. Right? It may not feel easy, but I know what I need to do. Right? The shit I want to do, I know what I need to do. Right? And it's just about me not being a coward in dealing with them. And again, these are all internal things. Even if there's an external thing attached, these are all internal first. How I think and how I feel and how I relate to my feelings. When I think about my feelings and what thoughts I attach myself with. What thoughts do I feed? What thought wolves do I just ride into the ground? And then I'm like, oh, why did I ride that wolf? That didn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, we get into, you could say McDonald's food is toxic or fast food is toxic, but still a lot of niggas eat it. So what's that about? There has to be something going on. Cause, and there's no judgment on that. I'm just making a point here. And, it's all about healing those wounds and also not exacerbating those wounds, and just realizing they're there. And sometimes they're kind of like covered up, like, cause it's like, again, the ego wants us to think and feel, right? Just like, let's just talk about that for a second. The ego wants us to think and feel, right? It wants us to think and feel. So we have to understand how to be like, I don't know, just be able to be with our raw feelings. And I know that's scary. That's fucking scary. But you know what? It's more the anticipation of doing it and training yourself to do it than actually doing it. Right? Because once you actually do it, it's like, once you can like do push-ups, it's like, ooh, I can do push-ups right now? Like, oh shit. I'm out here doing push-ups, right? You feel good, like, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, people, you gotta do things. What'd y'all say? You gotta do things. Okay, so in addition to fucking chakra work, right? Working on a chakra system, and there's so many books. There's actually a very fucking, this is a fucking great book, and I'm actually gonna fucking look it up while I'm talking. This book is so good. Speaking of the chakras, I gotta get to it. It's called Chakras and the Archetypes by this woman. I'll find out her name. Don't worry, folks. She's this woman It's like that. That's all I know. That's all I know. That is all I know. Where is my book thing? But yeah, I feel like Kim? Kim? No. Oh, come on, thing. Come on, thing. But yeah, I really felt time is. Well, I'm looking for this. I'll say this aside. I feel like time is really sped up lately. Because I don't know, I've been just flooded with insights and interesting things. Well, I need to fucking turn around too fast, and I just fucking get flooded with insights. Like, okay, all right, okay, easy. Oh, all right. Just all right. I'm still implementing like for an hour ago. Just jeez. You know, but hey, bring it fast and furious. Kim Kranz. I don't know who that is, but no. That is not who I am referring to. Where? Oh, by the way, since I was talking about before, a great book that I've read is this book, Dark Psychology 101. Because, yeah, there's this woman who I was friends with, and you notice I said was. She's got real, like, I don't know. She got just real, well, not just weird. She got like, I don't know. It was like she did a cycle where she like, this is me pushing away friends, and she like did some shit, and like I couldn't even like respond. It was just like, what just happened? And I was like, I don't. Okay, I'm not even going to. I have compassion for you, whatever you're going through, but what was that? What was that? Kim Krazan's is a lot of archetype books and decks. I don't know who that is, but that is not who I'm referring to. But I will learn them. Yo, Carl Jung's work? Yes, bitch. Give me Carl Jung. But yeah, Dark Psychology 101, great book. Because yeah, you could see if and how you're getting manipulated by people and what exactly category it falls into. And a lot of this is very insidious, and it's very. You won't pick up on it unless you kind of like, oh, that's why they do that, right? But anyways, that's not the book I'm talking about. Where is the book I'm talking about? Oh no. Oh. I made a book disappear. No, I get back. No. I'm gonna laugh. It's actually this woman you're talking about. Where is this book? Posh looks for a book on his tablets. The thrilling conclusion. Is it on here? Is it even on here? Maybe. I know, this is so exciting. Oh shit. Yo, Kim Cran's archetype deck is out here. Okay, so archetype. Okay, so here's the book. It is Chakras and their Archetypes, Uniting Energy Awareness and Spiritual Growth by Ambika Wouters, right? Ambika, Ambika Wouters. And this is a great book because, oh, sorry, I got a message from a young lady. Woo! But it's a great book because it goes into, as the title would suggest, the different archetypes of the chakras, the positive aspect and the negative aspect. For example, and I'm glad I just opened to it and it gets right to it. So for the root chakra, Muladhara, right, the dysfunctional archetype is the victim and the functional archetype is the mother. right? And this is like where a victim mindset is not helpful, where it's like, oh, I'm just fucked up. Oh, I'm not this, I'm not that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm a lost cause. Like we have all these things, but just a victim mindset. Just a victim mindset that, you know what? You know what this victim mindset is propelled by? What's that, folks? Let's say it again. Ego mind. Ah! Say it again. Ego mind. Right? The ego mind, our personality, not our essence, not your fucking essence, your personality, where you picked up all the bullshit you picked up from other people, right? Not your true self, right? You pick up, hey, listen, it's part of survival. That's why it's like the ego does have a function. It's survival in this world. So it's like you gotta have to kind of pick up some shit so you don't fucking, depending on environment, you don't fucking get even more fucked up. Right? You know what I'm saying? This is where it's like when people have abusive parents, they learn when the parents coming home drunk and they know like, oh, okay, I'm going to just pretend I'm asleep, and like this is the shit they learn to do to survive. And the ego mind is no different. It learns what it needs to do to survive. But the problem is the shit it does to survive is actually really fucked up in a fucked up world. And it just in the long run, it just fucks us up. Longer we kind of hold on to this pain that's caused by our ego mind's mentality of whatever it is. And, in the archetype she's talking about in the Muladhara, the root chakra, it is being the victim, not being like, the great mother, right? She even talks about how she's Jewish and how like, just the Jewish guilt-ridden mom archetype was like, she was like fitted for that jacket. It was like, they put her name on it. She's like, wait a minute, what? No. Like, she went against convention. So she was already like, what, you're getting a PhD? Like, I don't know if she has a PhD, but like, she was not agreeing to the role that was being assigned to her. And again, this is where family is the fucking problem. Her family was assigning her this role of like, well, you're a Jewish mother, so that means you always have to feel like a piece of shit. You have to feel guilt-ridden that you're not doing enough because that's how it goes. So that's how my mother was. That's how I was. So now, hey, here's your jacket. Put it on. But she was like, no, I can't put this jacket on. And I think it was through doing this chakra work. Pretty sure. Makes sense. So, she didn't want to be the archetype of the Jewish guilt-ridden, I'm a victim, mother, I'm a piece of shit, I'm not doing enough for my family archetype. You know what I'm saying? Each chakra, she gets into the positive aspect and the negative aspect, right? For sacral chakra, she says the martyr is the negative dysfunctional archetype and the emperor is the functional archetype, right? So anyways, just working on our chakras. It's not even like, then you can get into chakra yoga, right? Work on your things. You can do certain gems to activate or deactivate, depending on if it's like going too fast, too slow, hyperactive, underactive, you know what I'm saying? Based on kind of what you're feeling in your body, what's going on in your body, you know what I'm saying? Just figuring out from the symptoms, like, oh, I got a lot of guilt. I believe guilt is yellow. Whatever yellow is. I forget what yellow is. Oh, I don't know my Sanskrit. I'm getting whipped. I'm getting whipped in occult school. I'm a bad occultist. But even like meditating upon these archetypes and like how you identify with the victim. And again, that's the ego mind telling you you're a victim because it needs something to survive. And you always thinking about being in a body, having feelings and having thoughts. That's how it gets us to focus on the physical, to not focus on our spirit, because it's always like, the 3 I always talk about, where it's like, if I'm not doing these 3 things, then most likely, because I can't blanket make this say, most likely I'm like doing some real high vibe and shit for myself. And these 3 things are fucking, fighting, and feeding, right? And this fighting could be internal, right? It could be in our minds, it could be in our heart. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I always notice like when it's like, before I get out of work, I'm already thinking about getting high and eating, right? That's like, and I was just, I'm aware of it, you know what I'm saying? And not that I'm necessarily working to curb it, but I'm aware of this pattern of how I'm immediately like want to fucking eat and smoke the whole world, you know what I'm saying? And it's just wanting to, I don't even want any space there, right? We're afraid of space. That's like the funny thing. We're actually afraid of space because we don't want to be with ourselves without anything, without anyone. We want to have things so we don't have to be in space by ourselves. And, you know, even if we feel good, even if we feel the best, we want to be with someone to be like, hey, I feel great. Oh, you feel great. Oh, you feel great. Oh, I feel great. Right? We can't just be by ourselves in pain, in sadness, in joy, and just be there with ourselves without distraction. Right? And that's like in this time, this degenerate time, that's like one of the hardest parts. And like figuring out a way to cultivate an existence where you can have solitude, where you can be with your thoughts, where you can be with your feelings. Because if you're always interacting with people, you're going to be so fucking confused. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What are your actual opinions? You know what I'm saying? It's all a mirage anyway, but it's like you understand what your mirages are. So you can understand what the fuck is happening with you. And your toxic way of thinking, your problematic way of thinking. And, you know, being ego-minded and ego-clinging. Because we cling to this personality, you know? We cling to this way of being, you know, as like, this is who I am. I'm this person. I have this pain. We even identify with our pain and kind of like, oh, I'm this person. And that's part of the ego mind's just also asserted itself. We just over-identify with the pain. We have to be aware of the pain, right? Awareness is the key. We don't have to identify with it. We don't have to be like, this is my pain. No. Because first of all, is it your pain? Did you create pain? Nothing's ours. Nothing is yours. That's also a thing that's ego mind. It's like my pain, my suffering, right? My this, my that. That's just your ego telling you, I have this thing in my body, so I'm here. That's the trick. It just wants to assert yourself in a physical way. It's like that I'm experiencing this mirage, right? But it's like you're not experiencing mirage. How can you experience a mirage? You can be aware of a mirage, but you're not experiencing anything. So let's wrap this puppy up. Okay, so yes, tarot. Thank you for bringing that up. Shout out to you, Heartbeat Vibes. Tarot is another powerful tool because it's a powerful tool for understanding what's in your subconscious mind, what you got rooted around in there, what's in the basements. You know what I mean? Because you could go exploring in your mind, you know, through visions and through other sort of work, guided meditations and shit like that, psychedelics, all manner of things like that, right? We could do that. But also, we can do it through tarot. And the wonderful thing about tarot, since it's your subconscious mind talking to you, if like that's what you're going for, obviously you can go for other things. But if you're going for your inner work, since tarot is so rich in symbolism, right? Very rich in symbolism, you can really get a very action-packed message, a very dense message because there's lots of symbols to unpack with one or more than one card. You know what I'm saying? That's why, you know, the deck I use, Hermetic Tarot. Ooh, baby! Hermetic Tarot, baby! Baby. Hermetic Tarot! It's wonderful. So, you know, we talk about psychedelics, we talk about tarot. Also just generally just Qigong and yoga, because that's just going to help your chakra systems and your energy systems anyways. So just even if you're not going for helping them directly, like I'm working on this chakra to work on this, just do those things and just exercise generally. Because it's like really just want to have an inner fire going in your body. That's why I think like what really psychedelics are, they're just a very powerful inner fire that you can just consume in your body. You know, just get a fucking bonfire going to burn some shit up and help purify some shit. In other ways, you know, it's meditation. It's not like a bonfire, but it's more like it can be a bonfire, but it's like just, you know, just sit down there. It's made a little candle, you know. All right. So the point is, folks, stop being a coward. Take responsibility for your healing. Take responsibility for your healing. And you know what? The most important part is no one else can do it for you. Really, no one else can do it for you. People can support you, but it's got to be all an inner journey. And you can't be a coward. You know what I'm saying? You just got to, because first of all, you're not alone in just this, right? And that's also another fucking ego trick. It always wants to isolate you. Like, yeah, why are you such a piece of shit? You're just an extra piece of shit. Other people got it together. Why don't you have it together, you piece of shit? You piece of shit? Why don't you have it together, right? It's just you. You're just the only piece of shit. You're the biggest piece of shit in the world. That's how Chojo talks about that. Like, I would always get these letters like, I'm the biggest piece of shit in the world. I forgot how she put it. Oh yeah, you always gotta invite players. By the way, another really good book that I got recently. Y'all get all the good books. This is like a really good book, by the way, I got recently, Urban Tantra by this woman, Barbara Carellis. Really dope book, because it really brings together a lot of stuff about kink and also a lot of stuff about kind of like the mystical experiences of Tantra, the Tantric path, and like kind of a modern context. And it's really dope so far. And it also kind of brings in elements of her experience in the queer community and also her experience, in the kink world and also in the Tantric world and things like that. It's just real cool. Yeah, it's like, and like the play, and then 1% march, right? You actually don't need that much ego mind. Ego mind just rules the world. And this is the spiritual path, is realizing that play, spirit is the true power. Dance is the true power. But they say like, oh, stop playing around. Stop dancing around. Stop doing that sort of shit. Get serious. March. They tell you to march. Right? March. Start marching, right? That's ego mind. That's logical. That's Malkuth, right? Stop playing around. Fucking start marching. You better start fucking marching, right? But it's about play. And the more you can understand like how just you want to play around, right? It's a prison, but it doesn't have to be if you change it to a playground, to a dance hall. May I have this dance? Just get to it, you know what I'm saying? And just, oh man, we're just a coward, there's, there's a quote that I'm thinking of about just, there's a difference between, contemplation and hesitation, you know what I'm saying? Cause there's plenty of shit that I've contemplated to death, and it's just like, I'm just afraid at this point. Like, there's no other conclusion I can draw, right? There's nothing like, I'm just stalling. I'm stalling for time. Like, yeah, maybe we'll get to that next week. That's why, I took a week off. I took off work for the next week. Because I just had a moment where it's like someone was leaving my job, and like in my mind, I have this whole plan where like in the next 3 years, I want to move or like do a van life thing. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I had to plan now if I want that to happen. I have a timer on my phone going, right? It's counting down, like we're day 562 or whatever, just to like get in my head that I have this plan and I need to work on it, right? And I hadn't been necessarily moving the plane along, but one of my coworkers that he just got hired, he was a cool dude, but he's like, yeah, my side business is actually picking up now, so we're just gonna do that. It's actually a better use of my time. And I was just like, I ain't mad at you, and I love that, you know what I'm saying? But it was a good reminder about like, I don't want to be working for other people for the rest of my life. Fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? But that requires me to not be a coward. That requires me to not be a coward, right? In the ways I need to get outside my comfort zone to be an independent business owner or whatever the fuck, So the point is, folks, play is the way, and you just put in a little bit of marching, a little bit of choreography with the dance, just a little bit. You just need a little like, it's like seasoning, right? Ego mind just needs to be seasoned, but spiritual, like, yo, if you could get up to 99%, yo, that's why it's like, I want to get to a point where it's like, I don't even really have to be on the internet. Like, it's just like, I just have somewhere where you can just come there and just maybe I have a house line or some shit. Like, maybe I have some fucking thing putting ads for me online, my retreat center or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I don't actually have to like be in that world. I can just be in the world of what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's, being in nature or doing rituals or reading or making music or whatever the fuck it is. So I feel like I'm being very quiet right now, but I just feel like my voice is like maxed out. I don't know how long I've been talking. But point is, talk about psilocybin. We talked about other psychedelics like ayahuasca. We talked about San Pedro. We talked about bufo. We talked about doing qigong and yoga, just to generally help the inner fire purifying action in your body, right? We talked about doing like kind of meditations like on chakras and getting gems. You get gems. You can wear colors. You can do color therapy on yourself. You know what I'm saying? If a certain chakra is overactive, you maybe wear this color or not this color or that color. You know what I'm saying? What else can you do? You could fucking do jumping jacks on a full moon. Maybe. I don't know if that works. Try it out. See if it works. Get back to me. Also, this is an extreme one, but also sex magic with orgasms. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because you could definitely use the energetic, because think about it. The energetic system of your body and the orgasm is a very powerful system. So if you attach and ritualize it in a certain context where it's like, I'm clearing this thing out also, you could really put in some work to the level of like taking psilocybin, I would say. You know what I'm saying? Probably you could even go further than that, but that's, all things are relative. So, you could use sex magic too, or just the sexual energy to help you deal with trauma, who'd help you deal with other things in your energetic body. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, if you're doing a detox cleanse, you don't have to be like, oh, I want to cleanse this too. It's like, no, everything's going to swept up in it. That thing not the best, way of putting it. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like there's many different things you can do to energetically help clear, again, all this sort of gray, dark energy that pools up in us, and our ego keeps smacking us in the face like, yeah, you are a piece of shit. Yeah, you are a piece of shit. Yeah, you are a piece of shit. And after a while, it's like, we're just used to being hit in the face for feeling like we're a piece of shit or whatever the fuck. I just generally use that phrase because people can usually understand just feeling like a piece of shit for various reasons. You know what I'm saying? Just feeling like an idiot, feeling humiliated, feeling just embarrassed, feeling just useless, feeling so much despair, right? Just all under the umbrella of just feeling like a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? But usually that's more like you feel like you've wronged somebody. Like I feel like a piece of shit. But you could just be used generally. I mean, they could be used anyway. There's no rules here. So, everybody, you could do different things. And just do meditation. You know what I'm saying? Just sitting with your mind, just generally speaking. Because then you can see just how your ego mind wants to, as I call it, just dance up on you and get to dance with it. Right? Because it's like, that's the thing. It wants the party, ego mind. It's like, ego mind like gets out the cocaine and it's like, yo, let's party essence. And I'm like, I don't know, ego mind. Last time we got into a lot of trouble for all that partying. You know what I'm saying? People got really mad, like, no. It won't be like that time. Just like, yo, here, just do a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And then before you know it, you're naked, greased up on fucking Farmington Ave, fighting 4 police officers and a police dog named Willie. Okay? Ego minds, tricks. Oh boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. So, long story short, to close off this whole conversation, Man, my lips have been really dry and I don't know where my chapstick is, so I just keep licking my lips and doing that. So I'm sorry if that's distracting. I don't really care, but whatever. Whatever. Anyways, so to conclude this little fun little video, let's just talk about the something and the something. But yeah, just not being a coward, and it's funny to say, it's like, I'm afraid of being happy. It's funny to say I'm afraid of feeling whole or being whole or pursuing growth and healing. But it's like, what else could it be? What else could it be at the end of the day? When it's all the chips are pushed aside, when you break it all down, then why aren't you doing the thing? Especially if you're saying, this is what I want, this is what I want, how I want to be, then why aren't you doing the thing? Either you're doing the thing in a way that is gratifying the ego mind, so you're not actually doing the thing, or you don't actually want to do the thing, right? But you just want to give lip service to it. But, it's being cowardly. It's being a coward, and not going past one's comfort, not going beyond the fear, as Shogun puts it. So, I think that's it. I think I'm spent. Whew! This was a good one. Thank y'all for tuning in. And remember, don't be a coward. Don't fucking move, bitch, get out of the way of my ascension and my phoenixing. Fucking take that home, write it on your forehead in giant fucking block letters. I don't care. Or on your mirror. That would actually probably be more practical. Yeah, right on your mirror. Because Malkuth, they're not into that, right? They want dumb, ignorant people. That's the greatest sin. Ignorance, right? They want dumb and ignorant of themselves, right? That's what's wanted. Right, but what's needed is people who are knowledgeable of themselves, who know themselves, who understand themselves. Right? At the very least, to know and understand themselves so they're not further polluting. Right? And even if it's like they do nothing else, they're not polluting psychically and emotionally. Great. But if you are polluting, I'm compassionate to that. But that's why I'm doing this video about. It's like, hey, you're polluting? I know, right? You're bleeding? I know, right? Here's some things. But I know it could seem like a large challenge, but it's like putting in a good workout. Yeah, it's difficult at time, but afterwards you're like, ooh, and it's like a good shit. Like, at the time you're like, this shit. I don't know if I think I might die. I think this might be it. But then you survive and you're fine. You're like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? And, it's all like that. The rise and the fall. Impermanence, folks. Impermanence. In fucking permanence. So, don't be a coward when facing your fear. Facing yourself. Don't be a coward. Just fucking face it. And also, check out these fine books at your local online book reseller. Training the Mind and Cultivating Love and Kindness by Chogyam Trungpa. Love it, yeah. When Things Fall Apart by Pema Children. Yeah, we love Pema. Yeah, she's great. And then the Mac Daddy Them All, Shambhala, The Sacred Path of the Warrior by Chogyam Trungpa. Whoa, yeah, he did the other book you said. This is the quote. I don't think I said this. Maybe I did say this quote, but I'm saying it again to end this. If you don't work with your mind, then your mind will work you. Keep that in mind. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward. Bye. Bye.